I went from loving my wife to hating her in an hour, and I don't know how to keep living like this. 1 hour. That's all it took for my entire marriage to feel like a lie. An hour before, I was holding my wife's hand in the car, laughing about something small, something stupid. She was humming to a song on the radio, and I remember thinking to myself, damn, I'm lucky. I really hit the jackpot with her. And then, everything changed. I found out something so shocking, so gut-wrenching, that my love for her twisted into something dark. Hate. Real, bitter hate. I looked at the woman I had promised forever to, and for the first time, I couldn't even stand to look at her face. And the worst part, she didn't even seem sorry. That was the moment my whole world cracked open, and the words that came out of her mouth right after, they were like a knife to my chest. Let me back up a bit, because to understand how I got here, you need to know the kind of marriage we had before it all blew up. I'm 38, my wife is 32, and we've been married for 7 years, together for 10. I met her when she was just finishing college. I was already working in my career, stable, comfortable. She was bright, full of life, funny, and she made me feel younger. We clicked instantly. The first years of marriage were good, better than good. We traveled, we had late night talks, we built a home together. People used to tell us we looked like one of those perfect couples, and honestly, I believed it. Sure, we had arguments like anyone else, but nothing serious. I trusted her, I thought she trusted me. But there were little cracks I didn't notice. Times she'd go quiet when I asked about her day. Moments when she seemed distracted, glued to her phone. And whenever I brought it up, she'd brush it off with a laugh. You're overthinking, I'm fine. And I believed her. Fast forward to last week. It was a normal day. I had finished work early and decided to surprise her. She always loved when I did that. Come home with takeout, a bottle of wine, maybe even flowers. That day, I picked up her favorite meal. I was actually excited, like a kid. I pulled into the driveway, walked up to the door, and froze. Through the window, I saw her. She was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. That smile used to be mine, but this time, it wasn't. Curiosity got the best of me. I stepped inside quietly, holding the food behind my back. She didn't hear me at first. She was too busy on her phone, whispering something I couldn't fully catch. But I heard one word clearly. Love. My stomach flipped. When she finally noticed me, she jumped. The phone dropped onto the couch, screen face down. She scrambled, her face pale. Babe, you're home early, she said, way too cheerful, way too fake. Something inside me shifted. I wasn't stupid. I knew. I wanted to believe it was nothing, some silly misunderstanding. But when she went upstairs to change clothes, I looked at her phone, and what I saw, it shattered me. Messages, hundreds of them, with someone saved only as J. The kind of messages you don't send a friend. The kind of messages that make your heart sink into your shoes. She wasn't just texting. She was confessing love. She was making plans. She was saying things to him that she used to say to me. My hands shook so hard, I almost dropped the phone. And when she came back downstairs, I couldn't even hide it. I was sitting there with the screen lit up, staring at her betrayal in black and white. She froze. Then her face hardened. And instead of apologizing, instead of begging, she said words that made me hate her in that moment more than I thought possible. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, you weren't supposed to see that. Not, I'm sorry. Not, it's not what it looks like. Not even a pathetic lie. Just that. Like the only mistake she made was me catching her. In that moment, the woman I had loved for a decade felt like a stranger. My chest tightened, my head buzzed, and all I could manage to say was, who is he? She didn't answer. She just crossed her arms like a teenager being scolded. Her face was cold, detached. Finally, after what felt like forever, she muttered, it doesn't matter. Didn't matter. The person I had built a life with, the one I trusted with everything, had been pouring her heart into another man, and it didn't matter? I felt heat rise in my chest, anger, betrayal, confusion. I slammed the phone onto the table so hard it rattled. It matters to me. My voice cracked, and I hated how weak it sounded. She rolled her eyes, like I was being dramatic for being devastated. That's when I felt something change inside me. For years, I thought of her as the love of my life. In that moment, I saw her for what she was. Selfish, cruel, someone who didn't even flinch when ripping me apart. I realized I didn't love her anymore. I hated her. The first few hours after that were a blur. I remember pacing the house, asking her over and over, how long? Who is he? Why? She wouldn't give me a straight answer. Sometimes she'd laugh bitterly. Sometimes she'd say, I don't know, okay? Just drop it. Drop it. Like our marriage was some casual hobby she could toss aside? At one point, she even turned it back on me. She said, maybe if you paid more attention to me, I wouldn't need someone else. Those words cut deep. Because the truth, I did pay attention. I worked long hours, yes, but it was for us, for our future. I brought her surprises, planned dates, took her on trips. And still, it wasn't enough. But here's the thing. Part of me still wanted to understand. I kept thinking, maybe this is a phase. Maybe she's confused. I was desperate for some thread of the woman I married to still exist under the cruelty. So I did something stupid. I begged. I actually begged her to talk to me, to explain. She just shook her head and muttered, "You wouldn't get it." That's when I realized there was no misunderstanding, no fixing it. She had already left me. I just hadn't seen it until now. A few days passed and things between us became unbearable. We barely spoke. She slept on her side of the bed, facing the wall. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying every conversation, kiss, laugh, wondering which ones had been real and which ones she had already been giving away to someone else. But here's where the story twists. One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and noticed the glow of her phone lighting up the bedroom. She was asleep, but messages were still coming in. I couldn't help myself. I reached for it. What I saw made my blood run cold. It wasn't just Jay. It wasn't just one person. There were two. Two different men. Two different threads of intimacy. Two sets of "I love you" messages. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would wake her. And in that instant, I realized this wasn't just an affair. It was a pattern, a secret life. And I had no idea how deep it went. My hands were trembling as I scrolled through the messages. Two men. Two separate conversations. Both of them thinking they were special. Both of them getting pieces of the woman I thought belonged only to me. One of the men, Jay, was clearly local. They were talking about meeting up soon, little inside jokes, even arguments, like they were in a real relationship. The other man's name was Aaron, and from the timestamps, he lived in another city. Their messages were less about day-to-day things and more about late-night confessions, long paragraphs about feelings, about how she wished she could escape and be with him. Escape. That word stuck in my brain like a thorn. Escape from what? From me? From the life we built? I wanted to throw the phone across the room, but instead, I set it back down and stared at her sleeping. She looked peaceful, innocent, almost angelic in the dim glow, and yet I knew the truth. That same mouth whispering "I love you" in her sleep had been sending those same words to two other men. Hate surged inside me again, burning hot and sharp. But I stayed quiet. I didn't wake her, not yet. The next morning, I couldn't even look at her. She made coffee like nothing was wrong, scrolling through her phone casually. I kept waiting for her to say something, to slip up, but she didn't. She just asked if I wanted toast, like we were still a normal couple. I almost lost it right there, but instead, I said nothing. The whole day at work, I was useless. My mind kept going back to those messages, the names, the tone, the betrayal. By the time I got home, I was on edge, exhausted, and boiling with anger I couldn't show. When I walked in, she was on the couch again, texting. Same secretive little smile, the one I used to think was mine. And that's when something in me snapped. I asked her, "Are you happy?" She looked up, confused. "What? Are you happy with me?" I repeated. She frowned, clearly annoyed. "Why are you asking that?" "Just answer," I said. She hesitated, then shrugged. "I don't know." Those 3 words cut deeper than anything else. I don't know. 10 years together, and she didn't know if she was happy with me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand answers about the other men. But instead, I went upstairs, shut the door, and collapsed onto the bed. Because deep down, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was starting to feel numb. For the next few days, I pretended. I went through the motions. Work, home, sleep, rinse, repeat. She acted normal too, like we were just in some quiet phase. But every night, I would wait until she was asleep, then check her phone again. And every night, there were more messages. More "I miss you." More "You're the only one who understands me." More "I can't wait until we can be together." And then, one night, I saw something that nearly made me vomit. A hotel reservation, under her name, for next weekend. And the message attached? "Can't wait to finally have you all to myself." The second I saw that hotel reservation, my stomach dropped. It wasn't vague anymore. It wasn't just text messages I could convince myself were harmless. This was real. A place, a time, a plan. She wasn't just daydreaming with these men. She was going to meet one. I stared at the glowing screen for so long my eyes hurt. The reservation was for Saturday night, 2 towns over. A cheap hotel, nothing fancy. Room for 1 night. And then the messages right beneath it. Him, finally, just us. No more sneaking around. Her, I know, I've been dying for this. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. I wanted to wake her up right then, shake her, scream at her, demand an explanation. But some voice inside me whispered, "Not yet. Don't show your cards." So I slipped the phone back, lay down beside her, and stared at the ceiling until morning. The days leading up to Saturday felt like a slow march to execution. I tried to act normal, but my mind was spinning with plans. Should I confront her before? Should I show up at the hotel? Should I call the guy? Should I just leave? Every option felt wrong. Every option made me sick. At work, I couldn't focus. My boss asked me twice if I was okay. I lied and said I was just tired. In reality, I was drowning. At home, she was the same as ever, scrolling on her phone, humming while she cooked, asking me how my day was with that fake smile. But underneath, she was preparing for Saturday, preparing to meet him. I kept imagining it, her packing a bag, her checking into that room, her lying in that bed with him the way she used to with me. The rage that built inside me was like nothing I'd ever felt. And yet, there was another feeling too, shame. How had I missed this? How had I been so blind? Friday night came, and she told me casually, "Oh, I'm going to see a friend tomorrow. Girls' night. Don't wait up." I almost laughed in her face. Girls' night? The audacity was unreal. But I just nodded, pretending to buy it. Inside, though, I was boiling. That night, I barely slept. My mind was racing with the decision I had been avoiding all week. Do I follow her? Or do I walk away? Saturday finally came. She dressed nicer than usual, put on makeup she hadn't bothered with in weeks. She kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, grabbed her bag, and said, "See you tomorrow." The door shut behind her. My heart was hammering so loud it felt like the walls could hear it. I sat there for a long moment, frozen, before grabbing my keys. I had made my decision. I was going to follow her. I waited 10 minutes after she left, just to make sure she wouldn't double back. Then I grabbed my jacket, got into my car, and started the engine. My hands were slick with sweat, my chest tight, but I forced myself to breathe as I pulled out of the driveway. She had no idea I was behind her. The drive felt endless. Every red light mocked me. Every car that slipped between us made my stomach drop. But I kept her in sight, taillights glowing like a trail leading straight into hell. 2 towns over, just like the reservation had said, she finally pulled into the hotel lot. A dingy little roadside place, neon sign flickering. She parked, smoothed her hair in the mirror, and walked inside with her overnight bag. I parked across the street, heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. Minutes passed. Then I saw him. A man, tall, maybe mid-30s, stepping out of a black SUV. He looked around once, then walked into the hotel too. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. That was him. That was the man she was betraying me with. Part of me wanted to storm in right then, to catch them both in the act, to burn the whole thing down. But another part of me, colder, sharper, whispered, "Wait, watch, make sure." So I waited. 10 minutes, 15, 30. My rage grew with every passing second. I imagined them in that room together, and it made me sick. My love for her, the life we had built, all of it had turned to ash. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I got out of the car, crossed the street, and walked straight into the hotel lobby. The receptionist barely looked up. "Checking in?" she asked. I forced a smile. "Actually, meeting my wife. She just came in. Brown hair, blue dress, overnight bag. Which room did she take?" The receptionist glanced at the computer. For a moment, I thought she wouldn't tell me. Then she said, "Room 214. I thanked her, my voice shaking, and headed for the stairs. Every step felt like a drumbeat in my ears. 209, 210, 211. The numbers blurred as I approached the door. I stopped in front of it. My hand hovered over the handle. I could hear faint voices inside. Hers. His. My heart felt like it was going to explode. I reached for the handle, ready to tear the door open, and then I froze. Because I heard her say something that made my blood run cold. Something that changed everything. I stood outside room 214, my hand still on the handle, my whole body shaking. Through the thin door, her voice carried, low but clear. And then I heard it. The words that made me stumble back like I'd been punched in the chest. The kind of words you can't unhear. The kind that don't just break your heart, they change everything you thought you knew. I don't remember if I breathed. I don't even remember if I blinked. All I know is, in that moment, I realized I hadn't just lost my wife. I had lost something far bigger, and opening that door might destroy me completely.